I'm going to mention it in my speech too, because I really do think that Carson's really helped me figure out how to apply for that. I just want to say thank you so much for everyone being here. Niki vonHedemann in the School of Geography and Development. 5 years ago, I was actually in a very different life. I was working for the U.S. Forest Service in the Sierra Nevada mountains of California, trapping and tagging small mammals. One day I was scruffing a chipmunk by its extra skin around its neck, carefully putting a metal tag identification tag into its ear, and I decided, I think I have to go back to graduate school. I really loved my work in the Sierra Nevada, but I decided it wasn't exactly the path I wanted to take. I really wanted to continue to do ecological field research, but I really wanted a human component. I wanted to talk to the people who were shaping these landscapes. So I decided that to come back to graduate school in geography in order to tackle what I saw to be a really essential problem, which is how do we actually do conservation outside of protected areas like the Forest Service lands I was working in. Only 14% of the world's landmass is actually contained in protected areas, and 14% is not enough for the biodiversity conservation that we need to do. So 3 years ago, I kind of recreated myself by going to a very different field site in rural Guatemala, where I was interviewing agriculturalists about how they do forest conservation on these small plots of forest land next to where they're growing their crops of beans and corn. For the past 3 summers, I've been able to return to Guatemala and escape these Tucson summers by going to the Western Highlands, which is 7,000 and 8,000 feet in elevation and much cooler than Tucson in terms of temperature. But anyway, I've been able to hang out with a bunch of, spend a lot of time with people there working in development, working for the forestry service down there, working with community organizations, interviewing people down there about how they are able to conserve forests at the same time that these forests are really utilized for both firewood and timber. In particular, I study a forestry incentive program, which is a national government program that gives people money, individuals or groups, a little bit of money to do forestry activities such as reforestation or existing forest preservation. My research questions really focus on, can these payments actually help forests? Or if you incentivize one piece of land, does deforestation happen somewhere else? Can these payments actually help people who receive the payments? Or are these kind of like a Band-Aid and that really don't address the root causes of poverty or deforestation? I really see my work in Guatemala as kind of a case study for a phenomenon that's going on all over the world. The United States has many types of these conservation incentive programs, conservation payment programs. But at the same time that these programs are growing, we're really not sure of their outcomes. There's not a whole lot of studies trying to determine what would have happened if that kind of incentive or payment hadn't occurred. So what I hope to do in the fall is to go back to Guatemala and actually interview a lot of people who are not participating in the program, and as well as those who are participating and receiving incentives, and kind of compare what's going on differently between them. I'm also trying to retrace myself, go back to my ecological roots and the skills I gained working for the Forest Service, and actually look at the differences in carbon capture in the forests down there that are incentivized versus those that aren't. With the Carson Haury funding from last year, I was able to extend my time in Guatemala when I was there last summer. I developed stronger relationships, and I built upon these to apply to the Inter-American Foundation to return to Guatemala, where I'll be focusing on how these incentives can really help people with, or how they affect grassroots development. I've also really enjoyed the Carson trainings about communication, which I really see as key for my field because it has such broad policy implications. So I really wanted to thank you all for supporting the program. I've really enjoyed it.